Preseason scouting is one of the most critical things you can do to ensure that you have a successful deer season. You skip that and you could end up spending a ton of valuable time during the season just trying to figure out where the deer are. It's one of the worst feelings because you'll feel like you'll never be able to get in front of them. You'll always be just one step behind. So in this video, we're going to go over 3 preseason scouting tips to help you get ahead of the herd. But before we get into them, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload a video. And the first tip is, before you scout, you gotta pre-scout. Your first step should always be to look at a good aerial map. It's the best way to ensure that your scouting is going to be productive. Familiarize yourself with the area. Learn all the peaks and valleys, find roads, ponds, fields, any other habitat feature that deer frequent. After you find these features, plan your route. It's all about working smarter, not harder. You don't need to walk every square inch of a property to learn where the deer are. If there are no habitat features that congregate deer, there's no point in scouting that area. It's a giant waste of time. And the second preseason scouting tip is to focus on the travel routes. A deer's food source changes all the time. They go from green fields to acorns and back again. And sometimes they maybe won't even visit that food source next year. But a deer's travel corridors, or their travel routes, tend to be pretty stable. Deer follow the path of least resistance, and topography rarely changes. Unless you're on private land and you build a brand new food plot, they're most likely going to be using the same travel routes year after year. The trick is that you're looking for somewhat older sign when you scout these routes. A lot of hunters will overlook a great hunting area because they don't see fresh rubs and scrapes during their summer scouting trips. I don't pay too much attention to fresh rubs during my summer scouting trips because in my experience, bucks don't spend a lot of time in the same areas, in summer to fall and winter. You could end up spending a lot of time watching a particular buck in June and July that is nowhere to be found come September and October. How many times you see somebody on Facebook or maybe it's one of your buddies complaining about how all these nice bucks just disappear come hunting season? It's like they know when to get out of those woods. It's because they don't spend the hunting season, the winter months, on that property because maybe they're missing some kind of habitat feature. Your best bet is to identify good travel routes from different cover types or from food to bedding. Don't worry too much if you don't see fresh sign because if it's a heavily used trail, those bucks will be there come to hunting season. And the third scouting tip is to make sure that you know where the acorns are. As most hunters know, deer love acorns, but a lot of hunters just assume that all oak trees will drop acorns. Most mass-producing trees are cyclical in nature and don't produce good acorn crops every year. When you're out on your summer scouting trips, make sure you bring some binoculars with you and remember to look up. When you find that hot spot, that oak tree that's just producing tons of acorns, make sure you mark that on your map, your paper map, your phone, whatever app you use, because you're going to want to set up there come fall. It's going to be a great hunting spot. So that was 3 summer scouting tips to help you have a more successful deer season. If you have any more tips, make sure you leave those down in the comments below. Hit that like button if you like this video, share it if you found it helpful, and make sure that you are subscribed so you can stay informed.